Okay, if everyone could take their seats, please, we'll get started.
No.
Where was Chris? Yeah, okay. Counselor Clark is here. We still don't have enough? Two more. Okay. Nope. I was aware that Counselor Penn, Counselor Snup, and Bloom were not going to be here, so that still left us 10. All right, so we will take a few minutes here and see if we can find out what the story is.
Seven.
Sweating my rear end off already.
Just to update you, I'm informed that Councilor Levesque will be here shortly. So I apologize for the delay, but we have to have a quorum. Okay, I thank you for your patience. I believe we have a quorum, Madam Clerk. All right, so we will start the meeting. What I would like to do is first read a statement, an announcement in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. I must inquire whether anyone is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make your presence known. Seeing no one, we will continue. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilors: Bloom, Burdick, Clark,
Here.
Crow,
Here.
Levesque,
Here.
Ludke,
Here.
Mendes,
Here.
Neary,
Here.
Penn, Schnapp, Starr,
Here.
Tamish,
Here.
Turkelson.
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. I would like to invite Bob Jones up to the podium. Bob will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But first, Chris Clark is going to give us a short bio of Bob, which is pretty amazing.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. So thank you, Bob, for agreeing to lead us in the... Was raised in Hyannis and is a 12th generation Cape Codder. He received his Eagle Scout Award at the age of 13 and has followed its precepts of serving God and country ever since. Bob entered politics in 1973 when he was elected to the Park and Recreations Commission and served as its chairman 8 years of his 10-year tenure. Since then, he has served on numerous boards and committees and has chaired Waterways Committee for 10 years until being elected to the Town Council. Today, he serves on the JFK Memorial Trust Fund Committee and has served as a Town of Barnstable representative to the Steamship Authority for 23 years. Currently, he is the chairman of the board. Bob was drafted into the United States Army in December 1963 when he was assigned to the 2nd Battalion of the 7th Cavalry of the 1st Air Cavalry Division. On July 29, 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson announced to the world that he was sending the 1st Air Cavalry Division to Vietnam, and Bob and his life went to hell from there. He had no sleep for 3 days and were exhausted from the battle in Vietnam. They walked about 4 miles through elephant grass and jungle to the LZ Albany. The battalion was little over 300 strong, and they unexpectedly ran into an ambush of 1,200 PVAN troops from the elite 33 and 66 regiments of the People's Army of Vietnam. The battle started around 1:15 in the afternoon, and by nightfall, 1:55, young American soldiers lay dead on the battlefield, and 134 were wounded. By the grace of God, Bob was unscathed but not unwounded. No one went home from Vietnam the same man they were once before Vietnam. The battle in Drang Valley was the first major battle of the Vietnam War and inspired the book They Were Soldiers Once and Young. From the book, Paramount Pictures created a movie of the same name starring Mel Gibson and Sam Elliott. Bob spoke at engagements both locally from Beechwood Cemetery to the National Cemetery in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Bob was honored by the Greatest Generations Foundation when he was selected to accompany 6 other members of the 7th Cavalry to return to Vietnam on a 10-day trip to the battlefield and stand on the very spot where so many of their brothers fought and died in the valley. Through his pilgrimage, honors continued to follow him from accompanying Centennial of the World War II heroes back to the beaches of Normandy, where they bravely fought on D-Day on June 6, 1944. And at another time, he received an invitation to the White House to honor Rick Rescorla, who had fought with him in Vietnam and was being awarded the Presidential Citizenship Award by President Trump after saving some 2,000 employees from certain death in the second tower of World Trade Center. Rick died later that day along with 4 others. And finally, Bob is proud to be saying the Pledge of Allegiance today as a proud American. Thank you, Bob, for your service.
Thank you, that's very kind of you. Would you all join me now in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. If we'd remain standing for a moment of silence, please. This moment of silence, I would like to remember 3 fantastic volunteers that we have had for the town. Marilyn Fifield, who has served on several different committees and was a very stalwart member of the CPC. Lucy Poyant, Lynn Poyant, many of you know Lynn. Her father passed away. In fact, the wake is this evening. Lucian has had a variety of positions in the town, including the Board of Registration of Voters. And I personally knew him from his volunteer work at the police station, which he was there countless hours volunteering. And George Jessup Jr. George was an architect and served on the Hyannis Waterfront District Historical Board and also the Historic Commission. So we thank them for the service to the town, and if you could have a moment of silence for them and for all of our loved ones. Thank you. Okay, before we get into public comment, I want to make a couple of announcements. The town manager has informed the council in his town manager report that he is withdrawing item number 2025-006 from tonight's agenda, which is the item that would pay for outside counsel expenses for the law firm of Anderson and Krieger to assist the town with respect to the offshore renewable wind project proposed to land at Dowses Beach. Manager Ells, if you would just come up and confirm that for us.
Good evening, Mark Ells. Yes, as summarized by Vice President Tamish, I've asked for withdrawal of item 2025-006. These funds were proposed to allow the town legal department to work with outside counsel to develop a legal strategy to oppose the planned landing of cable from an offshore wind project at Dowses Beach in Osterville. Town council has a scheduled workshop this evening to receive a briefing from legal department on the status of the Dowses Beach project and to further discuss future potential action if the town chooses to do so. And so I would request that we withdraw that item.
Okay. Thank you. Then item 2025-006 is withdrawn. Also, I'd like to make an announcement that one of the persons who had applied for an appointment to the Airport Commission has withdrawn his request to be appointed. Paul Phelan, his nomination to the Airport Commission has been withdrawn. So there's going to be some procedural motions to remove him from the item when we get to it that evening. So I know some people perhaps were going to have public comment regarding those 2 issues, and hopefully we have gotten those out of the way. Okay, public comment. If you could come up and make sure you sign in, please, and just announce yourselves. And again, public comment is limited to 3 minutes, if you could, please. Have you signed, did you sign in?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Yes. My name is Deborah Aguirre. I live in Falmouth, Massachusetts. I am a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans, not a spokesperson. United Sovereign Americans is a nationwide organization with thousands of active volunteers in over 20 states. Today, I come to you as a concerned citizen sharing alarming information about our state's voter database uncovered through thousands of hours of research conducted by our highly qualified and credentialed data team. While the numbers are staggering and somewhat difficult to comprehend, one thing is clear: they don't add up. Just like your checkbook must balance, so must our votes. If you had $10,000 fewer dollars in your bank account than you had deposited, you would certainly want to know what happened. And if a company had the significant discrepancy in its books, the company would most certainly conduct an audit. In fact, yearly audits are required by law for all public companies. Our audit of the 2022 election, using only official data provided by states' voter registration system by city and town clerks, shows that the 2022 election may not have been accurate or legally compliant. We are not saying that one candidate won over another or that any election should be overturned. The state's official data from a certified election shows that the votes, as counted, were not all valid and accurate under the law. Tonight, we will present you with a resolution demanding an end to the inaccuracy and uncertainty plaguing our elections, along with a summary of our findings and the laws that apply. We are happy to meet with you to go over this information, including more detail about the specific findings. If you have any questions that I cannot answer now, I will commit to getting you the answer in writing from the United Sovereign Americans executive team as soon as possible. This data and our request for an investigation will soon be shared with state election officials and law enforcement. It's essential that you, as our representatives, make it clear that these issues must be taken seriously. Today, we come to you, our closest elected representatives, for support and action. We're asking that you listen to the resolution, ask questions if you have them, and then vote promptly for its passage. Your action on this resolution will illustrate your dedication and support to the concerns of your constituents and your country. Thank you. Our next three speakers will read the resolution in 3 parts, and our final speaker will conclude our presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you so much. My name is Laura Mitchell, and I live in Osterville. I am also a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans and not a spokesperson. Whereas it is a recognized civil right in the United States for every citizen to have free and fair elections, quote, and the right of suffrage can be denied by a debasement or dilution of the weight of a citizen's vote just as effectively as by wholly prohibiting the free exercise of the franchise, end quote. Reynolds versus Sims, U.S. Supreme Court, 1964. Whereas it is the duty of our election officials to guarantee our elections accurate and free from distortion or manipulation. Quote, Congress seeks to guard the election of members of Congress against any possible unfairness by compelling everyone concerned in holding the election to a strict and scrupulous observance of every duty devolved upon him while so engaged. The evil intent consists in disobedience to the law, end quote. In re Coy, U.S. Supreme Court, 1888. Whereas our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following 4 tenets of an election are upheld. Number 1, the voter rolls must be accurate. National Voter Registration Act, 1993. Number 2, votes counted must be from eligible voters. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2. Number 3, the number of votes counted must equal the numbers of voters who voted. Number 4, there cannot be more than 1 in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting system from the Help America Vote Act of 2002. Whereas an open source audit of the Massachusetts 2022 general election conducted by Massachusetts state citizens has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that violate both federal and state laws, including 751,317 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the Massachusetts state voter roll database, 265,046 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrants, 87,231 more votes counted than voters who voted in the 2022 general election. No one knows who cast them. 265,027 apparent voting violations in excess of the legal standard of system accuracy for a valid federal election. The maximum allowable system errors for the 2022 general election in Massachusetts was 19. Certification as defined by law, an attestation of accuracy and compliance
3 minutes
appears to have been
coming to a close.
fraudulent
Can you wrap
and
up your
illegal.
comments, please?
Thank you.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Phyllis Sprout. I live in Mashpee, and I'm also a volunteer and not an official spokesperson with United Sovereign Americans. Whereas these findings trample legal accuracy requirements of the voting system during a federal election, accuracy is defined as the ability of the system to capture and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by a voter without error. Whereas the intent of the voters must be factually known before certification can be lawfully conducted. Certification of an election that varies from the law is an abridgment of the civil rights of the citizens, a fraud, ab initio. U.S. versus Throgmorton, 1878. Quote, from time immemorial, an election to public office has been, in point of substance, no more and no less than the expression by qualified electors of their choice of candidates. End quote, U.S. v. Classic, 1941. Whereas Massachusetts 2022 general election appears to have been invalid, depriving us of the guaranteed protection of our natural rights under a government duly and provably chosen by us, the American people, resulting in incalculable damage to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of these United States. Therefore, we call upon our representatives to provide relief to the people and the assurance of domestic tranquility by joining us in demanding a valid 2024 general election that upholds these existing laws and equitable principles of law. 1, proof of citizenship, identity, and eligibility to register and vote, not anonymous attestation. 2, voter rolls certified, accurate, and available for public review and challenge 30 days before the start of early voting. Voters added after that date must bring proof of citizenship, identity, and address in person to a qualified official at each polling place. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Appel. I live in Falmouth, and I am also a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans and not a spokesperson. Point 3, hand-marked secure ballots similar to currency. Where imaging technology is used for tabulation, the security features must be verifiable in the ballot image. 4, systems, machines, security measures, infrastructure, and conduct are required to be compliant with federal law for fraud prevention regarding risk assessment, certification, testing, and implementation. 5, adjudication must be signed off by party candidate and trained citizen witnesses after being given full and effective observation rights. Candidates and trained citizens must be allowed immediate access to ballots, ballot images, and cast vote records. 6, ballots, regardless of entry source, election operations, and systems, must maintain end-to-end chain of custody from voter to vote count to final canvass, including auditability and witness transfer with paper records. 7, a NIST-compliant, randomized, statistically valid, and end-to-end audit with a 95% confidence level of all elections pursuant to the 14th Amendment, Section 2, must be performed. These audits are to be conducted by qualified, insured, and bonded security forensics or financial auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Reconciliation will include the vote count, real physical ballots, adjudication, cast vote records, ballot count, qualified voter count, custody transfer, and all other paper and electronic election systems, including logs. 8. If the total of all unique variances above is more than 10% of the margin of victory, a new election must be held in the state for those candidates affected, unless the issues can be provably corrected by a manual hand recount and a full review of records. 9. Waiver of requirements is not allowed. Only end-to-end system compliance from registration through certification can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is William Winters. I live in Falmouth. I am also a volunteer and not an official spokesperson with United Sovereign Americans. You just heard a powerfully written resolution outlining massive inaccuracies in our 2022 election, from registration through certification. In it, you heard us ask for meaningful remedies that will proactively protect the validity of the 2024 general election for all Americans. In fact, the resolution cited many U.S. Supreme Court precedents that support the need for such actions. Laws are being ignored. Bottom line, the checkbook is not balancing, and we need certainty. The voting system, which controls our most vitally important right, the right to choose our representatives, is not producing an accurate, trustworthy result. Do you think that these anomalies within our election system, a system which is part of our national security infrastructure, should continue to be ignored? How much is it costing us not to fix the problem? How much is it costing our GDP, our military, our foreign policy, our health, the self-esteem of our children and young people, and how much is it costing our dignity to keep fighting each other? The cost is immeasurable, so I urge you to show your agreement by passing the resolution. Our website showcasing our initiatives nationwide has some extremely informative videos that explain the anomalies and apparent violations of law that are found here in Massachusetts as well as in other states. The website is united4freedom.com. What you heard tonight is the culmination of thousands of hours of work by our highly qualified and credentialed volunteer data teams from Massachusetts and across the country. Let's step back for a second and look at the big picture. Large numbers of Americans, including many right here in Massachusetts, have questions about the trustworthiness of our elections. I think we can all agree that we wish this was not the case, but official data shows these concerns are valid, and the law says resolving them is essential in securing our liberty. At the same time, government representatives at all levels are not being transparent or responsive to what our citizen audits have found. The right to choose our representatives in legally valid and transparent elections is the foundation upon which our constitutional republic was established. That right has been bravely protected over the past 2.5 centuries by the sacrifices of our brothers, fathers, mothers, sisters, and in some cases, our sons and daughters. You on this board tonight have a chance to show everyone who defended American liberty and the citizens you represent that you value it by also passing this resolution demanding a valid general election in 2024. We appreciate your time and attention, and I have copies of the resolution for each member up here, if I could so pass it out.
Now, would you give them to the town clerk, please, who will
Sure.
distribute them? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Some people may want to sign the list. I
Have-
don't know if they know that. I'm not with this group, but
Okay.
it's, my name is Rick Brigham. I live in Hyannis, and I have been doing my own parallel exploration of elections because of so many questions that have been going on. Really looking to create something of a curriculum for citizens and for students. And my search began with what I consider my beloved town clerk, Ann Quirk. That just amazing how much information I was able to get from her, but also amazed at how complicated and daunting it is for her and other town clerks. So I've been just sort of investigating this on my own. So I just wanted to focus for a moment on the citizenship question. Because it does appear to be, and it's not only in my conversations with Anne, but with other town clerks, that the question of citizenship actually is not in their hands. And as I've been kind of exploring this and talking to people, the Secretary of the Commonwealth points to the Registry of Motor Vehicles, and the Registry of Motor Vehicles points towards the Secretary of the Commonwealth, but are ultimately pointing at Anne. And it's like, I can't quite get to the bottom of it. So I have a request. What I would like to do in my very, my own investigative search for this is it would be really helpful. I'd like to talk to the Registry of Motor Vehicles manager, the local one, but it would be really helpful if I had like one of you or maybe one or two of you could join me in that. Maybe a phone conversation, just do an interview of 30 to 40 minutes to ask the procedural questions, because I'm really finding it difficult to figure out how it works. And I think Anne might actually agree with me. So would one or two of you be willing to join me in a phone conversation where I could ask the Registry of Motor Vehicle just procedural questions? That's all I want to try to clarify. Would anybody be willing to do that? Oh, I can't.
If you could not address specific counselors, what I would recommend that you do is send an email to the council asking someone to contact you.
Great. I'll do that. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And thank you all for your service. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Bonney. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Cape Air, based at Cape Cod Gateway Airport. I was hoping the timing was going to work out such tonight that when I got up to the rostrum, there'd be lightning and thunder, and this would be really dramatic, but just didn't work out that way. I've been with Cape Air for 17 years now, always based at the Barnstable Airport. And I want to thank you for your support of the airport. Cape Air has grown to be one of the largest commuter airlines in the world. We started right here with lots of shuttle service between Hyannis and the islands. The marketplace has changed significantly over the years, but we still provide a really critical transportation link for the Cape and Islands. We have 650 employees total across the 32 cities that we serve. 190 of them are based at Cape Cod Gateway Airport. We manage our entire operation from the headquarters building at the airport, including all the flight following for the Caribbean operation, where we'll have 28 aircraft in the winter, our Billings, Montana operation, where we have 12 aircraft, and our Midwest operation, where we have between 4 and 5 aircraft, in addition to the rest of the Northeast operation. All of which is to say, Cape Air's operation is absolutely dependent on the facilities we've got at Cape Cod Gateway Airport. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for your support of the airport, and the Cape Air senior leadership team remains available to you if you have any questions offline or at another time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Batista. I'm here again. I know many of you have heard us speak before, but we're the residents of 525 South Street. We're graduates of the people that live there are graduates of the Riverview School, and they've been living independently on South Street for over a year now, participating in this beautiful community and really thriving and working and doing all the wonderful things that this community offers. One of the things that we really strive for our residents is that they can travel independently. And that's why we love Hyannis, the walkability, the access to the transportation center, and that's what makes this such a beautiful place for our sons and daughters to live and to thrive. We do have a bit of an issue, and we're here to speak in support of Great Streets. We know there's been many conversations. We've participated in all of Jeff Speck's presentations. He's the best. We were very impressed that Hyannis hired someone who's the best to lead that, and there's a great plan in place. However, we're here tonight because the plan has been a bit delayed, and with each delay, there's a potential of a resident, a pedestrian, a visitor being struck by a vehicle. And we've had a lot of close calls in front of 525 South Street. So we know we're going to be hearing about some issues on the other end, the east end, where some intersections haven't been resolved, but they have been resolved on the west end, and we really would like to see those initiated and expedited as soon as possible. One of the things that we'd like to talk about is the crosswalk in front of our property. It's impossible and dangerous to cross. There's cars parked. You can't see into the intersections. People zoom off that rotary and come flying up South Street, and we've had a lot of close calls. So Van's going to talk about some ideas he has to how to calm traffic and really slow it down. Easy things that wouldn't cost any money. Don't have cars parked there. If 2 cars were removed, they could see us, we could see them, and that would make it a lot safer. A speed bump, another great idea. A flashing sign. So a lot of low-hanging fruit wouldn't cost a lot of money, but if we could move that forward and initiate it, we'd be a lot safer. I know I would sleep better at night knowing that my daughter would be able to cross safely, and all of our citizens would. So Van had some ideas he wanted to share with you tonight, but thank you very much for your support of Great Streets. All I'm asking is that we kind of expedite some of the work down at the West End. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Van. Like Susan said, we've been here a couple of times and talked about different stuff, but this time I'm talking about like Susan said, like safety of our residents and myself in our apartment neighborhood area, and the crosswalk that's currently there is like really kind of a dangerous and risky crosswalk because there's cars next to it and cars can't see us going across it, and it's just very risky and not that safe. And I was thinking we could move that crosswalk up to I don't know what that area
There's
is.
a little park across. If you were further away, you could see, you weren't in the.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
There's a little park halfway up the next block on South Street. If the crosswalk was there, there are cars parked there, so they could see you, you could see us. So just maybe reorienting it, just looking at other options of how we could be safe, and that was Van's idea. I thought that was an interesting idea that we hadn't talked about before, so we wanted to bring that forth tonight. So that was great. We might have a few other folks that want to talk. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Fritz, do you want to say something? Okay, yeah. Amy, you want to say something?
My name is Ava Klecki. I live in 525 South Street, and one thing I don't like about the road is that the dog bus, every time if a dog bus goes by, it can actually get into a car crash, and
It's hard to pull out there. So when the DART buses pull out from the parking lot to turn onto South Street, even they can't see the cars speeding, and the kids feel that they're unsafe just making that turn off of Newton Street onto South Street, and it frightens them a bit. So that's what Ava wanted to mention. Thanks, Ava. That was perfect. Okay, thank you.
And hi, I'm Fritz Kletke. I'm Ava's dad, so particularly interested in this topic. I just wanted to ask a question we have a great crowd tonight, and just wanted to ask a question of who has seen someone get hit or almost get hit on Main Street or South Street? Raise their hand, please. So I think that, there's this kind of slow walking of this thing that is a really critical safety issue in our town that I'm just saying, I think it really needs to be moved forward. We've done the study, it's been approved, and I really worry for people like my daughter and her friends with how unsafe it is right now.
Thank you.
Good evening, Town Council.
Could you, thank you.
Sorry, very short. Good evening, Town Council members and guests. My name is Dion Dupree, and I'm the Employment Coordinator at Bay Ridge Clubhouse. I'm also the Transitional Employment Manager for the Clean Team Program. The Clean Team Program is an over 20-year collaboration between the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District and Bay Ridge Clubhouse. And I'm not going to bore you with some of this speech of like who we are, because I want to give it up to the last presenters because it dovetails exactly into what I'm here to talk about today. And what I'm here to talk about today is the safety on Main Street. So on December 19th of 2023, at about 4 o'clock, many of you probably saw that a portion of Main Street near Pleasant Street was shut down. And it was shut down for hours because there was an accident that had happened between a motor vehicle and a person. And not much was talked about that accident or who that person was. For me and for a lot of people, it was very personal. That person that passed away was Howard Eddy, and his picture is right here in front of you. Howie was a longtime member of Bay Ridge Clubhouse and one of the original members of Clean Team over 20 years ago, which started when it was a small contract with the Hyannis Shelter. Howie didn't let his age or his life's barriers get in the way. He was a true inspiration, working in his 70s, cleaning up Main Street. With a twinkle in his eyes and a smile on his face, in his own words, he would say, "I'm still looking good, too." Even on the hot, steamy summer days, Howie could be found along Main Street, watering the flowers, painting kiosks, helping hang banners for events, collecting trash, sweeping up cigarette butts, planting flowers, painting over graffiti, doing dump runs for the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District, digging out soil, raking, mowing grass, and weeding. These were all the things that Howie did. He never complained about working at his age. No matter how hard the job was or how slow he walked, he even helped the community by playing the best Grinch that there ever was on the holiday season's Main Street festivities. In his own words, he loved his job. He felt like he needed it because it gives him existential well-being and a sense of self-worth. Howie was always willing to lend a helpful hand to anyone who needed it. He loved animals, especially small dogs. He loved playing cards with friends until the wee hours of the morning. He drank Gatorade, and he loved his movies. He had a quiet sense of humor that had a dry, quick wit to it. He was truly loved by everyone he knew. On that December day, December 19th, he was excited about coming to the holiday party at the clubhouse. The very next day, December 20th. He was excited to celebrate the holidays with friends that he considered his family, to enjoy good food and good company. Howie thought December 19th was just like any other day. He went for a walk on Main Street to go to the store. But that fateful day changed the course of his life forever. Instead, Howie was in the emergency room fighting for his life with the substantial injuries that he suffered from this accident. Instead of fully celebrating the holidays, it was somber for his friends and those that he considered his family. All were worried about him. A month later, Howie succumbed to his injuries and joined his pug Muggsy in heaven. Howie was taken from us way too soon, but will remain in the hearts of all who knew him. Hyannis was his home. Main Street was his duty to keep clean. Bay Ridge was his family. Barnstable was his loved community. Addressing the pedestrian safety on Main Street is his legacy. I had the pleasure to know Howie as his advocate and his friend for the past 8.5 years. I do not want his passing to go in vain. We can do something about this as a community. We can come together to make Main Street safe for everyone on Main Street. When I was a freshman in college, my dean of students was quoted as saying, "If you are not outraged, then you are not paying attention." This is a problem on Main Street.
Mrs. Gray, can you wrap up your comments, please?
Absolutely. So I don't want Howie's death to go in vain. We as a community can come together. When I was writing this speech, I myself was almost hit across from the police substation that very same day by a motorist that was far above the age of 16 who should have known better, trying to take a right onto Main Street. And they saw me in the crosswalk, and they quite frankly did not care. Next time, it could be an elderly grandparent. Next time, it could be a pregnant mother. Next time, it could be a child. Next time, it could be a family's fur baby. Next time, it could be your loved one. Or next time, it could be you. Instead of Howie standing with us today advocating for a safer Main Street in the community he lived in, worked in, and loved, we are standing here with a picture of him and a memory rock, knowing all the while he is here with spirit cheering us on. We need to, as a community, truly make Hyannis a safe, desirable place to live, work, invest, and visit for people. Thank you for your time tonight and for working on addressing the pedestrian safety.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mark Honorato, and I am here speaking in support of the Cape Cod Gateway Airport representing Boston Medflight. I am the Director of Aviation Operations for Boston Medflight. I've been so employed for approximately 7 years. And as part of my duties, I also fly on the line transporting patients to and from the area, both into the Cape Cod Hospital and to higher facilities in the Boston area. Boston Medflight is a nonprofit critical care transport provider serving communities in eastern Massachusetts, the Cape, and the islands. Established in 1985, we have transported over 100,000 patients, members of our community, if you will, on the worst day of their life. We operate from 4 bases in eastern Massachusetts, and we provide the right care to the right patient at the right time with the right vehicle, and we do it safely and efficiently. In serving the Cape and the islands, we routinely use the Cape Cod Gateway Airport. The airport is the closest and safest landing zone for our helicopters servicing Cape Cod Hospital. Cape Cod Gateway Airport is the only commercial provider of jet fuel on the Cape, and it's a very important commodity for our helicopters and our aircraft. Additionally, the instrument landing system and air traffic services provided by the airport allow us to transport patients when inclement weather might otherwise cause a 3 to 4 hour ground transportation, and in a situation where minutes count, hours can be deadly for our patients. Last year, Boston Medflight impacted the lives of 181 residents and visitors on Cape Cod. On average, we land at the Cape Cod Gateway Airport every other day to transport your neighbors and members of the community. What may not be known is 44 patients last year were transported to the Cape Cod Hospital, where their cardiac cath lab is world-renowned and helps save lives by providing cardiac procedures. We also leverage the Cape Cod Gateway Airport for our jet aircraft. We have a long-range jet aircraft, and in periods of inclement weather or in situations where icing situations preclude the use of the helicopters, the jet is able to use that, and the facilities that the Cape Cod Gateway Airport has suit our jet just fine. The concept of using the Coast Guard Air Station to serve the medical transport needs of the Cape is simply not realistic for us. In a service where time means life, a 37-minute ground ambulance ride from the Cape Cod Hospital to the Joint Base would be life-endangering at best. The Cape community benefits greatly from the services provided by the Cape Cod Gateway Airport, and we support the direction and vision of an engaged and supportive Airport Commission. Furthermore, we are supporting appointing of airport commissioners who support the mission of the airport and who understand the full impact of this vital community resource. In our opinion, lives depend on a thriving Cape Cod Gateway Airport. And I thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Norm Weil. I am a current commissioner at the airport, but I'm here speaking as a private citizen. I wanted to just talk about the airport as an asset of the community. It is an enterprise fund, which means it is self-sustaining. It provides a number of really high-quality, high-value jobs, which are so important to our community. And it is an economic development engine that hopefully will help us to continue to bring good vibrant businesses to the Cape. It is a very, very complex asset. It has basically three businesses. One is obvious that it's an airport. The second, as you just heard about, the jet fuel business, and the fuel business is complex in and of itself. And it's also a real estate organization, as it owns the plaza. The commission needs diverse people on it. The current commission has a variety of backgrounds, from finance to legal to marketing to education. We need that to be able to continue to support what goes on. The management is second to none. They're very proactive. They've score very, very highly in the safety and soundness exam every year. And in fact, TSA has been looking at them as a potential site to screen luggage from Boston Logan when there's a time when there's over capacity up there. Finally, what you vote on and what you say impacts the value of the airport, so I hope you consider all of that when you do that. It also affects the morale of the people who work at the airport. So I thank you for your valuable time tonight. We appreciate your help.
Thank you. I would like to make a short announcement, please. If you could, we would like people to be as succinct as possible. It is possible one of our members may have to leave due to a family emergency, which means that would result in us not having a quorum, so no further business could be conducted. So if you could keep your comments short, and if someone has already addressed an issue that you would like to address, please try to keep it short, or just have a spokesman for the group. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Wendy Beerworth from Marston's Mills. I'm also a member of the Airport Commission, speaking as a private citizen. Tonight you heard from 2 of the 65 businesses in the airport's business complex, which employs over 1,700 people. That's 4.4% of the year-round population of our town. Per the 2019 State Aeronautics Study, these businesses generated payrolls of over $73.8 million. That's 88% more than the town's wages for its 900 employees. Their regional impact exceeds $157 million, making them invaluable assets to our local economy. A prime example is Atlantic Aviation's 50,000 square foot facility, built at a cost of $6.5 million in 2004. Think of the expense the town would incur if it had to buy out their lease and pay to rebuild the same facility outside the town while no longer benefiting from it financially. Like all Cape Cod, the airport is bustling during the high tourist season with multiple airlines on the ramp. American Airlines joined JetBlue in providing seasonal service to New York, adding DC, and achieving an average load factor of over 80%. I want to publicly recognize the tremendous contributions of newly retired Airport Commission Chair John Griffin, who volunteered for over 26 years to oversee this complex operation. Airport management requires comprehensive knowledge of aviation laws and regs, skills in contracting, maintenance, security, safety, human resources, and government policies, all to FAA standards, while working with the town. No single commissioner has Katie's broad knowledge and skills. Griff's team brought expertise in as many of these airport areas as possible, including an attorney admitted to the U.S. Supreme Court, a financial expert and commercial bank founder, and a senior aviation executive with over 35 years service with the FAA. Griff ensured the commission lived up to its responsibility under the airport minimum standards to maintain a long-term financial health of the airport, which to me means keeping the airport as an asset of our town. He made sure the airport was well run and in efficient hands. John did all of this with great skill and professionalism. Thank you, Griff. You leave big shoes to fill. That responsibility now lies within the capable hands of the new commission Chair John Flores, former president of the Town Council. Thank you, Griff. Thank you, John. Thank you, Town Council.
Considering the circumstances, we've changed our plans. I'll be speaking.
I appreciate that.
Yes. Vice President Tamish, councilors, my name is Suzanne Conley. I live in Osterville. When our group, Save Greater Deuces Beach, saw the agenda item workshop discussion on the proposal to land wind farm cables on Deuces Beach, our interest was piqued. But our worries were as well. The last we knew, the town was formally opposed to the proposed cable landings at this fragile estuarine environment and one of Barnstable's recreational treasures. We certainly hope nothing has changed in that regard. For 2 years, SGDB has made the case before you that extra high voltage electrical infrastructure has no place in such a setting. Our arguments range from environmental and ecological concerns to those related to human health and safety and the potential negative impact on our village center, residential neighborhoods, and our local economy. Following the town's recent decisions regarding Craigville Beach, a number of people have remarked to me that our opposition to these cable landings has accomplished nothing except to give the town leverage in its dealings with Avangrid. I certainly hope that is not the case, for what a cynical approach to local government that would be. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with Governor Healy about these cable landings and offshore wind projects generally. When she talked about the need to transition to renewable energy sources, I remarked that there were much better options out there than putting all this toxic junk in the ocean. Options that include geothermal, hydroelectric, micronuclear, and increasingly effective carbon capture technologies. I also reminded her that when she was the Attorney General of the Commonwealth, she fought very hard to protect Article 97 lands. I told her that those of us there yesterday were asking her to protect our Article 97 lands with the same resolve. At the heart of the issue, though, when it comes to the land our town owns that enjoys special protection under our state constitution, that's up to you. Do not buy into the myth that you are powerless in this regard. I hope your decision-making this time around is made openly and with the conservation of our land, our neighborhoods, our drinking water, and the seas around us in mind. There should be no price tag on the town of Barnstable. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Conrad Watson, and I'm here to talk about Main Street. I'll be real quick. It's a safety issue down at the Center and Main Street intersection. I bought the Bay Bridge building there, and my office is right at that intersection, and it's mayhem out there. She was talking about a victim. We had a victim since the other fellow died. Last summer, one of our customers was crossing the street, and she's looking at the lights from both elderly person, looking at the lights. She tripped on the granite, smashed her head, and she's since deceased. So there's been another one. And the big problem, there's three big problems: the lights, the speeding, and the crosswalks. The crosswalk now going across Main Street at Center is almost 6 lanes wide. And it's crazy. My wife, if she goes to Bradford's Hardware, she'll drive. She won't walk up there. That light there, when they come from the east, when they come from Yarmouth, people speed up to make that light, and then they see the next light at Ocean Street, and they speed to make that. They go flying through the crosswalk there in front of the church. It's amazing. A lot of other people haven't been killed. So short and sweet, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Clark. I'd like to just briefly second a lot of the points that Mr. Watson just brought forth. I own the property at 252 Main Street, some of you may know as the Red Store. In the 2 years that I've owned that property, I, with my own eyes, have seen 3 people get hit by cars. Countless close calls. I stopped counting after about a dozen cars going the wrong way on one-way streets. And, you know, this summer it's been especially entertaining to watch the screaming matches and, you know, other things that break out when a pedestrian's trying to cross, thinking they have the right of way, a car thinks they have the right of way. They pull into my parking lot to have it out. Fist fights. So it just seems, you know, like a no-brainer to me to try to move this forward as a safety issue, but also as like a cosmetic and investment issue. We're being asked to invest in this part of town. People are doing so. You're slated to build what is probably the biggest project in the history of Main Street, $84 million, 124 units, sitting right on this intersection that we know is dangerous, non-functional, and illegal in several ways. You ask how this got built, and nobody has a good answer. I'm still relatively young and in good shape. It's challenging to get across that street, and if I have my sons with me, I don't try to cross it. So, you know, again, as a safety issue, I'm just asking that you maybe consider moving this forward, but also as a, you know, an issue to continue to invite development, invite investment, and just continue to improve that end of Main Street, which then funnels onto, you know, the entire Main Street. Please consider moving this forward. Don't let this kind of fall between the cracks, continue to get delayed. We've seen examples in other towns, Main Street Harwich, Main Street Chatham, even villages here, Main Street Osterville. You would need to have your head examined to try to use that as a throughway to get somewhere quickly. It's undrivable, and that's by design, and that's great. The businesses are thriving, people are safe, they sit out, they eat, they're with their families, whether that be elderly or children. Nobody has to worry. So I just hope that this measure moves forward, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Worfbane, Executive Director of Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District. I will not be redundant and say all that has been said about the two-way Main Street or the Great Streets plan, but we're obviously in favor of that going through. It's a long time due, and I won't mention safety because that's obvious, but we know that there's overwhelming evidence. If you Google, you know, transforming one way to two-way, it always is overwhelmingly in favor of that for safety and so many other issues. So I'll bring up the other pieces that could be solved is that Main Street sometimes looks pretty quiet or would say dead in the winter. And remember when we had the barriers, it added a sense of vitality to the street because it was slowed down. That was something that was mentioned to me on a call today from Fitchburg. I happened to be talking to them about starting a bid. They want to start a bid in Fitchburg. And I mentioned this meeting tonight, and they said, oh, 2 years ago, we changed from one-way to two-way. And I said, what can I say? And he said, day one, transformative. He said, nobody has complained about it since it changed. People were against it because change is hard. But he said, nobody's complained. And he said, a big thing that happened also is it looks busy, and the foot traffic is more vital, and there's more people walking and people with kids and dogs, and that feel of a community. So I wanted to bring up that part because, as we know, the Main Street corridor is the busiest corridor on Cape Cod. It's the busiest commercial corridor. We have I have data now, which is exciting. We have almost 1 million visitors a year this past 12 months, more than any other corridor on Cape Cod. People who spend over 10 minutes of time not driving through. So we need to honor that piece because it brings in a tax revenue of almost $10 million a year to the town of Barnstable, more than the mall. More than any other commercial corridor. So it's a very exciting place, and it could be better. It is the hub. Can you imagine if also it had that vitality of places that we love? And we love it, but we know that picture having that come together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bruce Prescott. I have a property on Main Street and a business on Main Street. As succinctly as I can, please implement the great streets project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Oh, I have to adjust it too. At least I don't bump my head on tops of doorways. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Cheryl Powell. I am a licensed mental health practitioner. I'm also a state certified supervisor for counselors, licensed counselors. I'm certified in trauma, and I treat many, many people of the whole DSM, all diagnoses. I've been in practice for 17, 18 years, working on 18 years. This is going to be outline form, but I'm happy to answer any questions. First of all, I want to thank the council for having the honor to serve on committees and commissions for this town. It is a pleasure and an honor. Shortly, you're going to have a presentation with regard to the opioid committee, on which I also have the distinct honor to serve. It is an extremely worthy project because it impacts families, the whole town. Chief Burke and Jennifer D.C. Ellis will be presenting, and I'm sure that they will do a fantastic job. I'm here to as a mental health practitioner who treats it every day, except Sundays. What the impact is on families, the face of what this is. I'm going to give you a face, something you don't know about me. This is Linda, and I'm going to be speaking about Linda. She's not a patient, so I'm not violating HIPAA. She is 6 years older than me, almost. She was a serious addict from the age of 13, 14 years old. She was my sister. She described some of the things that she did as trying to quell the monsters that she felt. She also had mental health issues. She also had a ghost. She used this as a means to defend herself. The face of addiction. First time she tried to kill me when I was 2. The second time when I was 3. The third time when I was 7. Mental health and addiction are often evil partners. So as a child, it was my quest, my goal, to fix my sister. I graduated 10th in a 480 class of students, and I was eager to help out. I then got a scholarship for leadership to med school, or pre-med, sorry, and then worked on psych, trauma, neuroscience. And then I had a bump in the road. I found somebody that I wanted to marry. And my mother said, go. He lived in England. He was British. Go. It is not your job to fix your sister. It's my job. I can handle this. I'm chief ER nurse in the local hospital. So I left. 1998, my husband and I bought a condo here in Cape Cod. It's a wonderful place to live. And it was in that condo that I received a telephone call in 2008. It was from a friend of my mother's. She said, things are bad here. Very bad. You need to get back here. I went back to the estate. What I discovered is a woman with 8 master's degrees who had a shirt on that was inside out. The buttons weren't all buttoned. They did not totally line up. Her arm was fractured. She had green goo all over her feet, which came from the Freon that had leaked out and been there for a long time in front of the refrigerator with little size 4 shoe and footprints all over the place. She had not been taken care of. She was badly bruised, and there were feces all over as well. I called her doctor. He said, I told him that I was the daughter and who it was. I won't say the name. And he said, your sister, he said, your Linda called me 2 years ago and she said she was dead. Why are you calling me Linda? And I said, I'm not Linda and my mother's not dead. I'm Sherry. I'm the youngest of her daughters. She also told me you were dead. I'm a mental health practitioner, and I merged with him, and we stabilized my mother. We had a CT scan that was done, and I filed for guardianship. I knew the routine. It's the routine that I guide a lot of patients, families, others through in order to get them off the addiction or to get the families stabilized. I'm grateful for my training, but my mother can no longer handle this. The guardian in this state, and I won't say which state it is, it's a trial hearing by jury for guardianship, which I thought was cruel. My sister attacked me. She was stoned. There were letters from the court-appointed psychiatrist. Linda speaks. The CT scan showed that she had severe diffuse brain atrophy. The highlight of the court case was my sister picking up a chair and throwing it at the judge. I then was appointed, of course, and I stabilized not only the house, which I'd already been doing, but all the criminal activities that were acting out of it, including one fellow in the 14 apartments that she rented that I went to and I said, this is weird. You came in just a week after I filed for guardianship. That's almost 4 months ago. You haven't paid a dime of rent. There's no damage deposits. There's no references. He said, I have a special arrangement with your sister. And I said, well, I am the guardian. He repeated what he had said, and he lunged at me. I slammed the door. I managed to secure it and get out, and I called the police. I told them what had happened. I had already hired 4 nurses to watch my mother. This is the face of addiction. This is what families are going through, even in this community. I heard from one of those nurses 3-4 days later. She said, we heard back from the police. He's wanted in 5 states. He's a serial killer. They did get him. I'm going to be racing forward now in time. You're not going to get a year by year. My mother passed in 2010. My sister didn't want to come because she wanted to watch a movie. My aunt, who was her enabler, didn't want to come because she wanted baked cookies for the church bazaar. I had shut down the money tree. So my mother died, and I was the one who declared the death. I went to my sister's. She was unresponsive. She was stoned. Those are her monsters. The ugly's heads were reared. 2011, we settled the estate. And my last words to my sister, I never want to hear, see, or speak with you ever again for the rest of my life. I did hear from her. I'm almost done.
Cheryl, can you please wrap it up a little bit
Yes.
when you get a chance?
I heard from her on November 29th. Suffice to say, all I heard was a scream. And then I was called by a former brother-in-law who said, your sister's dead. She's gone. So this is my story, but it's not unlike nor any less significant than other stories of families and people who are suffering from addictions and families who are trying to deal with it. The project for the opioid settlement funds is a very serious one, and it's an extremely worthy one. I've had the pleasure to go out to other towns to see what they are doing, and they're up and running, a lot of them, and what they're doing. This is doable. It won't happen overnight, and it's not, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I would like to continue, offer my expertise. Also, I am well aware of the impact that it has on families, all too aware. I want to thank you for your time and patience. Bear in mind that this is 1% of what happened over decades. I'm going to end with a quote on the definition of mental illness. It's only 2 sentences. It's from Stephen King. Monsters are real, and ghosts are real too. They live inside us, and sometimes they win. So please let us stop giving in to the monsters and get this done. I thank you for your time. I know you allowed me some extra minutes, and it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? I know we have one online. Sarah?
It'll just be 1 second when we get them moved over. Mr. Phelan, it's your opportunity to speak at public comment. You have 3 minutes. Public comment, go ahead. Mr. Phelan, can you hear me? It's your chance to speak at public comment. Go ahead.
You sound very, I'm sorry, is time to someone talk to Paul Phelan?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
You sound very hollow and hard to hear.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Am I?
Yes, you're live, we can hear you.
Go ahead, Mr. Phelan. You can speak now.
I can't tell it. Is it? Am I on right now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I apologize. Good evening, everybody. I want to thank first the nomination committee for selecting me for the Airport Commission. I did decide to withdraw because after considering it and hearing comments from the commission, I realized they want a cheerleader. And I am not a cheerleader. I'm a spokesperson for the residents in this town. And I'm glad to see everyone, it brought out some discussion tonight. Many suits came before the committee. I appreciate the med flight coming before the committee tonight. The gentleman did not mention there are 5 landing spots in town, incidentally, and there is aviation fuel available on Martha's Vineyard. But to the other gentleman from Cape Air, I hope they can stay at the airport. If they don't wish to stay there, there's plenty of room up at Joint Base Cape Cod. The last time, folks, council members and everyone in the audience, the last time the commission came before you, their chairman berated one of our finest councilors. So I'm glad tonight it was a little more positive. One thing that I want to bring out to everybody about the lack of transparency on this commission is when they ordered for the Anderson report, it's totally mislabeled as requirements to close the airport. I want to emphasize to everybody, and I want to make it clear. This isn't a closure, it's a merger. Joint Base needs this, and so do we. Every resident of this town has an opportunity to reuse those 650 acres. I hope what I learned the most from this, incidentally, is the previous leadership. Their agenda, when it comes to their agenda, it's 3 things that come to mind. First one's politics, second one's the Bible, and the third one is revenge. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I just want to indicate that we received several email public comments from Greg Gertie, Stacy Gunther, Gary Peters, Ann Salas, Anastasia Lennon, Ellen Nosel, and those have been distributed to all of the councilors, so thank you for those comments. Mr. Moran.
Larry Moran from Katuitt. Craig, I'm not going to present tonight my comments. I've put in probably 30 or 40 hours of work putting it together. I've got it written. I condensed it. I timed myself. It took me 6.5 minutes to read it. I'm not going to take your time tonight, but on the 5th of September, I'm going to do it. And I want that latitude. So I will confer with you in advance and let you know. Okay?
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you for those comments. Council response to public comment? Any? Very good, thank you. Okay, I have an announcement regarding we have to act on the public session minutes from July 18th, 2024. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as printed, or are there any errors or omissions? Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor of accepting the minutes as written? All right, passes. Oh, we skipped the town manager communications. Those were pre-recorded. They are also available on the town council website. So I am trying to move this along. Okay, in accordance with Section 22G, Section 1 of Chapter 30A of the General Laws, prior to tonight's council meeting, the town council president reviewed 2 sets of executive session minutes with the town clerk and the town attorney. Based upon that review, President Penn has asked me to make the following announcement on her behalf. The town council president approved the executive session minutes of January 18th, 2024, and February 1st, 2024, relating to litigation strategy regarding Park City Wind's proposed offshore renewable wind project in the town, and authorized the release of said minutes with the redaction of the portions of said minutes protected by attorney-client privilege and for which continued non-disclosure is warranted. No votes were taken in those executive sessions. Well, too many papers. Okay. We also have Attorney Nober.
Thank you, Vice President Tamish. Karen Nober, Town Attorney. The next item is a proposed vote where you would delegate to me responsibility for responding to the open meeting law complaints that were filed by Mr. and Mrs. Gertie and by Mr. Coble. I did contact the Attorney General's office to get an extension until next Friday because the timing of this meeting didn't correspond with the 14 business day deadline. So they granted that, and those responses are due next Friday. So I would ask that you vote to delegate to me responsibility for responding to them.
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second for the motion? Second. All in favor of approving the delegation to the town attorney, please indicate. Okay. Passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move into communications. We have several presentations by some committees, workshop groups. I would like to invite James Kupfer, the interim. Excuse me?
Did you want to go straight to the agenda items and?
Yeah, do those? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're going to take the agenda items, I guess, out of order.
Yes.
I'm going to start with 2025-001. Councilor Starr, if you could introduce that.
Thank you. Thank you. This is old business, public hearing, roll call vote, 2/3 of the full council. Number 2025001, appropriation and loan order in the amount of $227,000 for the purpose of funding temporary road repairs to Harborview Road in the village of Barnstable, pursuant to temporary repairs to private roads program for certain private roads.
Second.
Okay. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Yep.
Right. All in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Okay, I recognize Dan Santos, DPW Director, for the explanation, the rationale.
Good evening, Town Councilors. Dan Santos, Director of Public Works. Chapter 174 of the Acts of 1994 authorized the town to borrow funds to repair and improve private roads within the town. Under this program, the abutters to roads being repaired can be charged betterment assessments for 100% of the actual costs of the repairs, which they can elect to pay in one lump sum or over a period of up to 20 years with interest. This road will not be taken by the town of Barnstable and will remain a private road. Most of the property abutters to Harborview Road in the village of Barnstable have expressed an interest in having repairs made to their private road, and 80% of those abutters have signed a consent and acknowledgement agreement for the betterment assessment. The proposed work includes engineering design, installation of new drainage structures, removal and replacement of the existing roadway, pavement, cleaning of existing drainage structures, and final restoration. There is no cost to the town, as all costs will be covered by the betterments accessed to the abutters. The town will issue a bond to cover the cost of the repairs and use the revenue collected from the betterment assessments to make the annual loan payments on the bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, or are there any members of the public who would like to address us regarding this issue? Seeing none, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor of closing the public hearing? Okay. Any council discussion on the item?
No.
Seeing none, I move to a vote. All those in favor of roll call. So I'm sorry, it's a roll call vote. Two-thirds full council.
Yep. We got it.
Councilors Clark. Yes. Crow.
Yes.
Levesque.
Yes.
Ludke.
Yes.
Mendes.
Yes.
Neary.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Tamish.
Yes.
Turkelson.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to 2025-002. Councilor Clark. Oh, you're going to do both of them? Gordon,
Yeah,
be my guest.
thank you. This is another piece of old business. It's with a public hearing, roll call, two-thirds full council vote, number 2025002, appropriation and loan order in the amount of $321,000 for temporary repairs to Otter Lane in the village of Barnstable, pursuant to temporary repairs to private roads program for certain private ways.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing? Okay. All in favor? Okay. I recognize Mr. Santos.
Thank you. The background to this item is exactly as the previous item. This road will not be taken by the town of Barnstable, and it will remain a private road. Most of the abutters to Otter Lane in the village of Barnstable have expressed interest in having these repairs made to their private road, and 83% of the abutters have signed a consent and acknowledgement agreement for the betterment assessment. The proposed work includes engineering design, installation of new drainage structures, removal and replacement of the existing roadway pavement, cleaning of existing drainage structures, and final restoration. There is no cost to the town, as all costs will be covered by betterments assessed to the abutters. The town will issue a bond to cover the cost of the repairs and use the revenue collected from the betterment assessments to make the annual bond payments. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to be heard on this issue? Seeing none, I would like to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor? Council discussion. Councilor Lutke.
I just had one question. It's called a temporary repair. What's the difference between a temporary repair and a permanent repair, a major repair?
It's the estimated lifespan of the repair, so we're limited by the regulation to a 15-year life of the repair. So a permanent repair would be more robust and would last, could last up to 30 or 40 years.
So the residents could not ask for that. They're restricted to a temporary repair for their betterments?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, any further council discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Oh. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor of closing the public hearing? Thank you.
Councilors Crow.
Yes.
Levesque.
Yes.
Ludke.
Yes.
Mendes.
Yes.
Neary.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Tamish.
Yes.
Turkelson.
Yes.
Clark. Yes. That's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2025-005, Councilor Crow.
This is item number 2025-005. It's an old business, under old business, and may be acted upon by a majority vote. Order authorizing a housing development incentive program tax increment exemption agreement between the town of Barnstable and Bratt LLC for 36 new market-rate residential rental units located at 199 Barnstable Road in Hyannis.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, I recognize Mr. Kupfer.
Good evening. Jim Kupfer, Interim Director of Planning and Development, before you tonight to discuss order to authorize the Housing Development Incentive Program Tax Increment Exemption Agreement for 199 Barnstable Road. As is the process, this agreement has gone forward through the Tax Incentive Committee of the Town Council, which recommends the approval of the Housing Development Incentive Program tax increment exemption request for the developer, who is Brad Sprinkle and Tim Tillman, for the property located at 199 Barnstable Road here in Hyannis. In addition to the 36 market rate units, 9 units are proposed to be permanently deed restricted affordable, and the project has a total of 45 units. This tie agreement is a contract between the property owner and the municipality, which sets forth an amount of tax exemption and the duration of the benefits. The sponsor has requested, and the Tax Incentive Committee has recommended, a 100% tax exemption for the first 5 years, 1 through 5, a 85% tax exemption for years 6 through 10, and a 55% tax exemption on years 11 through 20 on increased value anticipated to be $1,040,282.51. If this is approved by the town, this project and the tie agreement must also be approved by the State Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. I will note that the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities has made some minor changes to the agreement that you have before you this evening, and I've spoken with Attorney Nober, who can expand upon that. One substantive note to make is in your agreement that's in the packet this evening, there is a note for 60% tax exemption on years 11 through 20. As you'll note in the rationale, that is not the case. It is 55% of the tax exemption. I will note that both the Tax Incentive Committee, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, and our CFO are aware of the 55%, and all the calculations were correctly done. It is just simply a typo in the agenda agreement you have before you. And I'll let Ms. Nober expand on whether that needs to be an amendment made. But I'm happy to answer any questions unless you would like to expand.
I can jump in if you want.
Sure. Attorney Nober.
Thank you. Karen Nober, Town Attorney. So what I would recommend is that we amend this item to correct and make the change to Section 4B of the tie agreement that's before you, to change the 60% years 11 to 20 to 55% years 11 to 20, and then to authorize my office to make such other minor amendments to the agreement as may be needed to make it consistent with what the state is approving. I'm actually not in a position to go through what those specific amendments are, but my understanding is really the only substantive one is the 55%, the 60 to the 55%. So I would defer to Mr. Kupfer to discuss with you those changes, but that's the amendment I would recommend.
Okay.
And I can.
Do I hear an amendment to change Section 4B to 55% for years 11 through 20 from 60% years 11 to 20 in the agreement?
So it's from 60% years 11 to 20 to 55% years 11 to 20 in Section 4B of the agreement.
Okay.
And then to authorize my office to make some other minor changes.
Minor changes, okay.
So moved.
There's been a motion made. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of the amendment? All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, leave you to discuss the item.
Okay. Any council discussion on the item itself? Councilor Starr?
My inclination is to postpone this. I think it's a large amount of money. We're talking 20 years. I would like to have everybody here when it's discussed. So I'm not making a motion, but I'm suggesting a motion. If anybody agrees with that, I would like to hear that.
Councilor Clark?
Thank you very much, Vice President Tamish. Is there any downside to postponing this in the timeline of this proposal?
I believe the applicant is here. It may be better to speak on that if you'd like.
This is advantageous to the town. Would you make that? I can't discuss it.
Tim Tellman speaking. Tim Tellman on behalf of Brat LLC, sponsor with Brad Sprinkle for this project. I would request, we did get a thorough vetting at the subcommittee where there was unanimous approval. And the timing on these items, this is the last piece of the puzzle for us to get this project moving. It continues, even though it's in the new zone for whereas as of right, we are ready to get our building permit, but we don't want to process that until we know our funding is in place. This sets off the HDIP financing, and it's critical. If this does not happen, the project does not go forward. But I would request a vote on it tonight because time is money, and we've already have a lot of funds into this project, not knowing if it's going to be viable or not yet. This sets it in motion. We get approval for this. I've already submitted our HDIP application, which is rather lengthy. If anyone's familiar with that, it's very complex and lengthy. They are waiting. I stay in regular contact with the HDIP folks in the state, and they are waiting for this approval. With this approval, they can move ahead to approve our HDIP financing, both of which this and that, if they don't happen, the project is at a standstill. So I would request, and as I said, the subcommittee has, we had probably an hour and 15-minute conversation as to the viability of the project and, part of it being a tax increment exemption. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councilor Ledke?
Yes, I'd like to proceed tonight. As I'm doing my math in public here, it looks to me like we have a deed restricted of 20% on this, which to me is fantastic, above and beyond what you have to do. I think the location of the project is very good. That area desperately needs some rejuvenation. And also, I think the scale of this project is spot on for what we need. I've never been a fan of these enormous projects, these multiple hundred units projects. I think they're a little bit overpowering, and I think the dynamics of living there become problematic regardless of who's in there. It's just too much density. So, Gordon, I understand what you're saying, but to me, this project hits every sweet spot that I think we've all been discussing for months, if not years. And I'd like to get this going as soon as we can. I think it's fantastic.
Councilor Crowe.
Mr. Tellman, can you answer? Do you still have time to tweak the actual design of this project, outside design? I'm not talking about moving buildings. I'm just talking about the way it looks from the street. I looked at it. It looks like we were in that meeting. It looks like a good project to me. I just think that it could probably use a little bit more character to it. That's all I'm asking. Is there still time after we vote for this for you to present plans that may be a little bit adapted to make it a little?
Yes, the short answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
I have another question.
Councilor.
My question is, in the agreement, it talks about the sponsor shall use good faith efforts to maintain the units in the market rate residential units. It seems like a strange thing to put into a contract. Good faith efforts. So there's.
Is your microphone on, Mr. Councilor?
Yes. Okay. I don't know. Is there a reason, Mr. Kupfer, why that's in there?
This template before you, or this agreement before you this evening, is predominantly the state's language. It's not something that we produce.
And Mr. Kupfer, what are the? These are single. They're 36 one-bedroom units. How many square feet are they?
I'll leave it to you.
There'll be approximately 550 square feet.
550 square feet? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we'll go to a vote. All in favor of the motion as amended? Please indicate, or the roll call.
Wait.
No, just a majority vote. Okay. All in favor? All opposed?
I'd say no,
Okay.
just for the fun.
The motion does pass. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, 2025-006 has been withdrawn. We're going to move on to new business, 2025-007. This one is Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Vice President Tamish. This is new business, may be acted upon with a majority vote. Item number 2025-007, authorization to contract for and expend a fiscal year 2025 Mass Trails grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the amount of $400,000 for design and associated services to advance the Cape Cod Rail Trail Phase 4 extension in the town of Barnstable.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Santos.
Thank you, Dan Santos, Director of Public Works. The town of Barnstable was awarded a $400,000 Mass Trails grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on June 21st, 2024. The purpose of this grant is to advance the design of the Cape Cod Rail Trail Phase 4 extension. This follows a $500,000 Mass Trails grant awarded to the town in 2022 and a $300,000 Mass Trails grant awarded to the town in 2023, which covered the cost of land surveying, pre-25% design, and environmental evaluation. The Cape Cod Rail Trail is a 12-foot wide paved shared-use path serving pedestrians and bicyclists. Phase 4 is proposed to extend the trail from Mary Dunn Road near the Hyannis Ponds Wildlife Management Area entrance to Service Road at the Barnstable Sandwich Line, a distance of approximately 10 miles. The ultimate goal is to create a continuous regional shared-use path spanning the full length of Cape Cod from the canal to Provincetown. The town is responsible for a 25% local match in the amount of $133,333. Previous land acquisition and design expenditures by the town of Barnstable for the Phase 3 extension will be used for this local match. Therefore, there will be no fiscal impact associated with the acceptance of this grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Any council discussion on this issue? Councilor Starr.
Excuse me, is this going to bring us to 100% design?
No.
So
This is just another step in the process. This will cover traffic counts, road safety audits, intersection control evaluations, conceptual design and alternatives analysis, meetings with MassDOT, and development of the 25% design plans.
And is this done in-house, this work?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other counselor? No? Okay, we'll go to a vote. Okay, this is a majority vote. All in favor of 2025-007 as indicated?
Everybody.
Motion does pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. $25,008. Councilor Lutke.
Thank you. This is new business. It may be acted upon by a majority vote. It's item 2025-008, authorization to contract for and expend fiscal year 2024 jail arrest diversion program co-responder grant in the total amount of $185,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Mental Health.
Second.
Second? Okay. I recognize Chief Chalice for the rationale.
Good evening, council members. Jean Chalice, Chief of Police. The department was awarded a $185,000 Department of Mental Health grant in order to fund 2 full-time co-response clinicians from Bay Cove Human Services as part of our jail diversion program. For the past 2 years, we've had the benefit of the services of 1 full-time co-response clinician who rides with officers and helps address mental health emergencies assists with de-escalation, and when it's appropriate, diverts individuals away from both the court system and the hospital emergency room. The volume of calls involving some type of mental health component continues to rise for us, and the involved individuals usually need services beyond the immediate intervention at the time of the call. These grant funds will allow us to bring on a second full-time clinician to expand the hours of coverage and also to provide needed follow-up services in hopes of ultimately reducing repeat calls for service from those individuals. The clinicians are employees of Bay Cove Human Services, our local emergency service provider, and they receive their clinical supervision through Bay Cove, but they physically work out of the police department and ride with BPD officers in our cruisers.
Thank you. Any council discussion? Councilor Turkelson.
Thank you, Vice President Tamish. As far as the advantage of having somebody for future follow-ups to track the rates of, I can't think of the right word, the rates of recurrence?
Recidivism?
Recidivism, I wasn't sure that was the right term. Will the BPD be collecting that data to bring forward to us so that we can see the work that you're doing and the results that you're getting?
The clinicians track all of that information, so they maintain those records for Bay Cove, and then we actually have to maintain those records also for reporting on the grant. So we would have that information available.
So you could bring that back to us and let us know how it goes?
We can report that, yes.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no further discussion, move for a vote. This is a majority vote. All in favor as written? Motion passes. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Chief. 2025-009 is referring to it's a first reading, referring to a second reading. Councilor Turkelson?
Thank you, Vice President Tamish. This is an item of new business, first reading, referred to a second reading on September 5th, 2024. Item 2025-009, reappointments to a board, committee, commission, as written.
Second.
Okay. Second? Okay. All those in favor of moving to a second reading? Any opposed? No? Seeing none? Motion passes. Okay. 2025-010. I was going to Councilor Mendes, would you do that, please?
This is item 2025-010. Refer to a second reading on 9/5/2024. Appointments to a board, committee, or commission. Historical Commission, John Richmond. As an alternate member, a term expiring 6/30/2026. Hyannis Main Street Waterfront District Appeals Committee, Stephen Peckham, as a Hyannis resident, to a term expiring 6/30/2025.
Okay.
Second.
First reading.
It's my understanding that we have to read the motion in as written, and then we will move to suspend the rules to remove Mr. Phelan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have to
Please.
amend it, so if you could read it all.
Okay.
Appointments to a Board of Commission, Airport Commission, Paul Phelan.
Okay.
As a regular member to a term expiring 6/30/2027.
Okay.
Second.
I would like to hear a motion to suspend the rules to, on appointments, to allow for a motion to remove Mr. Phelan from
Second.
the, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of removing Paul Phelan from
The
2020?
vote is on suspending the rules.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All in favor of suspending the
stay here.
rules?
I'm going to stay here.
Okay, thank you. Keep turning over. Okay.
Okay.
Now, do I have a motion to remove Mr. Phelan?
To amend this item to remove his nomination to
from
the
the-
Airport Commission.
Correct.
Second.
Second? All in favor? All right, so that's been removed. So we will now be voting, or is there any discussion on the motion as amended?
No, it's a first read, so.
Oh, it's a first read.
You're going to
Okay.
vote to refer the item as amended to a second read on September 5th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're a lifesaver here.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of moving this to a second reading? Indicate. Thank you. Motion pass. Okay, 2025-011. Councilor Vec, would you please read that in?
This is new business first reading. We refer to a second reading on September 5th, 2024. Item number 2025-011, appointment to a board committee commission. Resolved that the town council appoints the following individuals to a multi-member board committee committee to review and assess zoning and review the town's use of regulatory agreements. Seth Etienne, registered voter, town of Barnstable.
Okay.
Second.
Do I have a second? All in favor of moving this to a second, oh, sorry, Council Clark, did you have a discussion or all in favor? Okay. Yes.
Yeah, since this is a replacement for somebody and we'd like to get them on that board, which is already met, couldn't we suspend the rules and vote to approve this person right now so they can join that committee and be productive?
Okay.
So I guess I'm proposing to suspend the
motion?
rules.
All right.
Second.
We will have this is a motion to suspend the rules requiring a second reading for this article. All in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate. All opposed? Okay. So we will now be voting on the appointment of Mr. Etienne. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, no discussion? All in favor of this appointment, please, 2511 indicate. Unanimous? Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Can we?
Yes.
We can skip the next one. Can we do that? How do we do that?
Just to move things along and maybe come back to it.
Maybe come back to it.
Okay.
It's not important.
Okay. All right. 2025-13. Let's see. Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Vice President. This is an item of new business. It may be acted upon by majority vote. It's 2025-13 is the item number. Authorization to contract for and expend a fiscal year 2025 municipal local cybersecurity grant program in the amount of $70,975 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security's Office of Grants and Research for the purpose of implementing cybersecurity improvements within the town, school department, and police department.
Second.
Thank you. Second? Okay. Any discussion on this? Rationale?
Sure. Jim Benoit, Director of IT. The Municipal Local Cybersecurity Grant Program is a new program offered by the Commonwealth to assist local communities in strengthening their cybersecurity and reducing cyber risk. This round of grant funding was aimed at implementing several specific IT best practices. The town submitted a joint application on behalf of the municipal, school, and police IT departments, and we were awarded a grant of $70,975 for several cybersecurity initiatives across these three departments. No matching funds are required from the town for this grant. Thank you.
Any council discussion on this matter? Seeing Councilor Clark?
I just want to congratulate your office and your staff for securing this grant, as I do for all those others departments who have got us brought money to the town without taxpayer money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, this may be acted on with a majority vote. All in favor of the motion as read, please indicate. All right. Motion passes. Thank you. Councilor Neary, could you read in 2025-14, please?
My pleasure, Vice President Tamish. This is new business that may be acted upon with a roll call majority. It's item number 2025-014. It's an authorization to contract for and expend a fiscal year 2025 9/11 Department Support and Incentive Grant in the amount of $330,026 from the Commonwealth of Mass Executive Office of Public Safety and Security as written.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Excuse me. Rationale. She's standing right in front of me. Chief Chalice.
Good evening, again. The department was awarded a $330,026 support and incentive grant from the State Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. We were eligible for this grant, this 911 grant, based on the fact that we're a primary PSAP, and there were additional funds available to us because we accept cell phone calls and also because we do dispatch a clinician. We're proposing to use these funds for personnel costs incurred in the 911 telecommunication center to cover base pay and some of the overtime for 911 EMD certified civilian dispatchers up to the $330,026 limit.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any discussion on this item?
Just again, acknowledgement to you and your team for the securing the funds from non-town of Barnstable resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as written? Opposed? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Mendez, would you read in 2025-15, please?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This is item number 2025-015. May be acted upon majority vote. Authorization to contract for and expend a fiscal year 2025 State 911 Department Training Grant in the amount of $23,268.47 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security.
Second.
Second. Chief Chalice, I will
Hello
recognize
again.
you this time.
Good evening again. The department was awarded an FY25 State 911 Department $23,268.47 training grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. We were awarded the grant based on our role again as a PSAP in order to fund training and certification of enhanced 911 telecommunicators, including emergency medical dispatch. The funds are going to be used to cover the cost of 16 hours of required continuing education and recertification for our current dispatchers, as well as some of the training costs for our newly hired civilian dispatchers. Some of the topics are CPR, EMD certification, and then they use them also for continuing ed classes for things such as active shooter response or responding to domestic violence calls.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Clark.
Thank you very much, Vice President Tamish. We see it in the agenda, but for the listening public, please explain what PSAP means.
It's a primary safety answering point, public safety answering point. So we are a PSAP, and there's secondary PSAPs throughout the state. State's trying to eliminate a lot of them, so that's why we're looking at the regional dispatch.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote on this. Majority vote. All in favor of 2025-016 as printed? All right. Motion passes. Councilor Beck, are you voting, or?
I'm in favor.
All right, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 2025-016. Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Vice President Tamich. This is an item of new business. It may be acted upon by majority vote. It's item number 2025-016, authorization to contract for and expend a fiscal year 2025 State 911 Department Emergency Medical Dispatch Grant award in the amount of $19,445.20 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Chief Chalice.
Hello again. The department was awarded a state 911 emergency medical dispatch grant of $19,445.20 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. The funds are going to be used to cover 3 areas. One is our annual software maintenance contract with our phone maintenance of PowerPhone, our provider. We use part of the funds for our emergency medical dispatch medical director contract with Cape and Islands EMS. And then the remainder of the money goes to cover the overtime costs, to cover the quality assurance oversight and call review that's required by state 911. Just to point out, the total amount is the $19,445.20, which is in the subject section, is the amount that's in the background section of the item on the agenda is incorrect. So, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Any council discussion or questions? Attorney Nober, did you have a question?
No, but I think we need to make a correction to the last vote that was taken. I think it was the wrong number, appears to have been referenced.
Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry, we need to do what now?
Let's finish this one. We'll go.
Okay, all right. No, we're on 16 right now. Okay. Was there any further discussion on 16? Okay. Okay, all in favor of 2025-016 as printed? Indicate. All right. Vote is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Recognize Attorney Nober or the Town Clerk. Oh, it's a roll call majority. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so we need to do we're all set? Okay. Because this page said a simple majority. Okay. Okay, 2025-17, Councilor Levesque, would you read that in, please?
Thank you, Vice President Tamish. This is new business of first read, referred to as second reading on September 5th, 2024. Item number 2025-017, designation of the Hyannis District Improvement Financing Development District, also known as a DIF, to be located in the downtown Hyannis, and approval of adoption of the development program as written.
Second.
Okay, have a second? Okay, the motion as printed to move this to a second reading. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
If I may.
Yes.
Sorry. On the next one, Councilor Levesque is recused, so you don't have a quorum. So we will have to move that item to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 2025-18, as indicated by Attorney Nober, will have to be moved to the next meeting. So we're going to move to 2025-19. Councilor Neary, how about you?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This is new business. It may be acted upon with a majority vote. It's item number 2025-019. It's authorizing the acquisition of an easement for sewer purposes on land at 268 Stevens Street in Hyannis, as written.
Second.
Good evening, councilors. Tom LaRosa, First Assistant Town Attorney. The property owner at 268 Stevens Street in Hyannis has agreed to the town's acquisition of an easement for sewer purposes on their property at no cost to the town. The town would construct, with a grant from the Commonwealth, a sewer pump station in that easement, which is approximately would be 1,785 square feet, and it would allow the town to site it there versus, in the public way, saving the roadway space for other public uses.
Okay, thank you. There is a diagram you've all been given on that regarding that easement. Is there any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, this will be a majority vote. All those in favor of the motion as printed?
That's not what we're voting. Yeah,
Counselor Neary and Starr, are you voting?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Lutke, would you do 2025-20, please?
Thank you. This is new business. It may be acted upon by a majority vote. It's item 2025-020, authorization to contract for and expend a Massachusetts dredging grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Economic Development in the amount of $375,000 for the Katuitt Bay Entrance and Abatement Channel dredging project.
Second.
Mr. Santos.
Thank you. Dan Santos, Director of Public Works. The town of Barnstable has been awarded a $375,000 Massachusetts dredging grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the execution of the Katuitt Bay Entrance and Embayment Channel dredging project. The Massachusetts dredging grant provides construction phase funding to coastal communities for saltwater dredging projects. Grants are competitively awarded with a focus on shovel-ready projects that contribute to the economic significance, public safety, recreational value, and/or coastal resiliency of the Commonwealth's coastal harbors. Dredging is anticipated to be completed beginning in October. The Katuitt Bay Entrance and Embayment channels require regular maintenance dredging to maintain the navigation channel. Sediments have accumulated in the channels to the point where dredging is now necessary. The channels will be dredged by the Barnstable County Dredge, and the dredged sediments will be placed on dead neck by a contractor to nourish that beach and to further repair a portion of the dune adjacent to the jetty that has been damaged. The Barnstable County Dredge has indicated they have scheduled this project to begin in October of 2024. The Massachusetts Dredging Grant provides up to a 50% match for the project. The matching funds will be funded by existing capital appropriations previously made for the channel dredging program. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any council discussion on this item? Seeing none, majority vote, all in favor? Majority, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 2025-021, Councilor Starr, would you read this in?
Thank you. This is new business may be acted upon with a majority vote. Number 2025-021, resolved to approve the appointment of James S. Kupfer as the Director of Planning and Development for the town of Barnstable.
Second.
Second. Mr. Els.
Good evening, Mark Els, Town Manager. Thank you for this opportunity to bring before you the ratification of an appointment of James Kupfer as the Planning and Development Director for the town of Barnstable. When the position was vacated, we went out to public to solicit candidates for the position, and we interviewed candidates, and the interview committee recommended unanimously Mr. Kupfer. Mr. Kupfer has worked for us, so many of you are familiar with him, but his background in planning is extensive. He has undergraduate in urban planning. He has a master's degree in architecture and a master's degree in public administration. He's worked for several communities in an assistant planning capacity and a director of planning capacity. He joined us and has moved up to deputy and now is filling in. And so I'm very pleased to request town council ratification for his appointment to this position. Thank you.
Any council discussion? Councilor Ledke.
I just have a question about the process. I know, like, our housing position is still vacant, correct? How many people applied for this? I mean,
5, 4 outside, 1 internal.
Is Jim the one internal?
Correct.
Okay. And how far afield were these other 4? Were they from the Cape area, or were they?
I believe beyond. Bill Cole's here. he could certainly share.
I mean, that's nice that
Opened
you
up-
got a good response. I'm just curious, again, the housing one, is that still advertised, or is it just kind?
I will ask Mr. Cupper to give us an update on the housing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim Kupfer, Interim Director of Planning and Development. The housing position was posted maybe about a year and a half ago, and the scope of that position was tweaked some to put a wider net out because we were not getting any interest from just the housing position. It is a challenging field. And in the field of planning, there's a lot of different aspects that people enjoy getting into. So when we tweaked the scope some for housing to be a priority, but also maybe some interest in other projects, we did begin to see some interest. We hired Corey Pacheco, our senior planner, who is primarily working on housing initiatives, and you'll see him at the next subcommittee for housing. But he is also dabbling in a few other projects as well. So we have filled a position for housing at this time. Certainly a lot of housing issues that we could tackle and always could use additional help. But that's where we stand today.
So the housing position is filled?
The position that was put out for housing is filled as the senior planner, which is primarily doing housing initiatives, correct.
Are there any open positions?
Well, at this time, there's the director position open, and hopefully after tonight, the assistant director position open.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Turkelson?
Town Manager Ells, will any of the 5 people, well, obviously not Jim if he gets the job, but the 4 other people, will those people be applying for the vacating position that Jim hopefully will be leaving?
I have no idea. It'll be up to them.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. We don't take that list and we begin again.
Okay, any further questions? No? Seeing none, we will go to a vote on this, majority vote. All in favor of the motion as written, please indicate. The motion passes. Jim, you can drop the interim. Thank you for hanging in. Councilor Clark?
Thank you. I know we, in deference to the sensitivity for a quorum, I know that we had some public comment and took things out of order. But if I may indulge the chair to allow the town clerk to qualify or address some of the concerns that were addressed during public comment over the free and fair elections. I just wanted to give opportunity.
Okay. We do not have a quorum. We do have to adjourn, is that correct? Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Councilor Clark, but we will certainly give the town clerk an opportunity to respond September 5th if she so desires. All right. All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay. Second. All in favor of adjourning? Thank you. Apologies to those who were here for the various workshop items. Obviously, that was out of our control.